Hey y'all, welcome to the very first episode of the Paul Cobin Show. For those who don't know me, I'm Paul Cobin. I'm a sophomore here at Clemson from Greenville, South Carolina. I'm involved in a lot of things around Clemson, especially the Sales Innovation Program, and I'm involved working with the Clemson football team. The mission of this podcast and this show is really to bring back real conversations. In a world that's full of just hate and spite and just full of cancel culture, I'm trying to really get us out of that and really bring back open dialogue so we can push forward further as a society. And that's kind of my whole goal. Today, I want to introduce my very first guest, Asa Forrest.
Hey, y'all.
Asa here is also a Clemson student. He's a sophomore here. You're a political science major, right?
I am.
It's super awesome to have you. You're involved in a lot of stuff on campus. You're an FCA small group leader, which is awesome. You are on the leadership team for Run for Christ. You've been involved in a lot of student government in high school and freshman year in college. And you've also done a lot in politics as a whole, just being like a campaign associate for people throughout the state. And I think that's so, so cool. Like a quick question, and also just like introduce yourself more. Like what do you know, like from the campaign side, like from the actual politics side, that the average person would not know or would not expect to know?
Yeah, so you kind of hit everything.
Yeah.
Major things about me. I love politics, love sports, love talking politics and sports. Really got into politics, especially senior year. Got to intern with a big campaign and then work on a couple other things. I think I really had to see like the operational side of it. A lot of times you see the events and the operations that are in front of everybody, but you don't really get to see what's behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And getting to see the behind the scenes is really cool. Getting to see how much work goes into it, how much planning goes into everything, all the manufacturing, the planning, the calling people, talking to people, coordinating all the events, all the out of event things.
Yeah.
I think I got a really hands-on job with that, and I really love doing it.
That's awesome.
And so that's part of why I'm in poli-sci right now.
Dude, that's so cool to hear. Like what was like your role? Like what were you doing while you were in those jobs? Like,
so for the one of them, I was working on the field campaign. I guess both of them kind of. I was technically like the assistant field director. And so it was a lot of days just working out, going door to door, knocking, asking people, talking to people, getting to talk to them, which is really cool. I think it sounds pretty daunting. Going into it for my first time, I was like, I don't know if I can do this, but no, you get into it, you get to have good conversations, you get to hear from like the normal person that is like you, but also people that aren't like you. And you get to hear perspectives from a bunch of different people, which was really cool. And so I got to do a lot of that, a lot of building signs. I got really good at that. Spent hours and hours doing that. And those are all great, but I really love the events, especially like, because it was like going door to door and talking to people, except it was a group of them. And so you could hear questions to the candidate, or you could have conversations about the candidate with the people. And you really just get to hear so many different perspectives, so many different people from different walks of life, and hear what they're thinking about different topics.
that's so cool. And that's kind of like the whole point of this. Like I'm really trying to have people that I disagree with or I don't agree fully with on, and have those conversations that we disagree with, or maybe that we do agree with. And it's just so we can further our own ideology and our own ideals of what we want to see, either America, our faith, like what we have our opinions on, so we can really form those into better opinions. So like that's super cool, and that's super awesome that you've had that opportunity. There's kind of a lot of things that we want to talk about here on this podcast. I love the politics side, but most importantly, it's our faith. But I want to start out in kind of the political realm. Obviously, we had some really huge news last week. It was last Wednesday, September 10th. Charlie Kirk was assassinated. I kind of just want to know, like, what were your initial thoughts? What were you doing? Where were you? Like, how did you react to that? What transpired?
So I was sitting in Spanish class, and I got a message from you saying, like, guys, pray for our country. And I was like, yeah, but like, what happened? So I'm scrolling through the news. It was genuinely probably like right after it happened.
Yeah.
So I'm scrolling through, nothing's popping up. Like, what's going on? And then I see stuff about Charlie Kirk. So like, what happened to Charlie Kirk? And then, I was like, wow, like this is awful. And then I didn't understand the magnitude of it until I saw the video.
Yeah.
And the video is just horrid. And that's when I understood, like, wow, this is a targeted assassination. Like, this is a political assassination. This is due to his views, due to what he does. And I just think it's terrible. Because we live in a country nowadays where free speech is something that is so like necessary in a world where AI and the internet and news is spread so quickly, and it's so easy to spread false news and spread false doctrine and stuff. I think free speech is so important because we have to weed out that that falseness, the things that aren't true coming out. And so I think Charlie Kirk did a great job of that.
Yeah.
He was really good at having, like you're doing now, just honest conversations with people and honestly debating about what he believed. And I think that like he stood for something so big and something so important for our country. And so it's just devastating what happened to him. And I was devastated for like a day or two.
100% right. I cannot agree more. It's it really hit me hard. I looked up to Charlie Kirk. He's one of the people that inspired me for a couple of years now to like really like start to get into politics and start this show and start bringing up an Instagram page, a TikTok page, and it really hurt me when he was brutally killed. You brought up this is political violence. This is like a targeted attack. Obviously, this is kind of all speculation and conspiracy because we don't know all the facts on everything. I'm sure the FBI and whatnot will do a great job in solving this. But do you think that, other than obviously Tyler Robinson murdering Charlie Kirk, do you think that it was more so like the left in itself doing this, or like another like outside source that kind of, I don't know, pushed for his assassination?
I think, honestly, a big thing of this is to not get ahead of ourselves. I think it's really easy to try to blame this on a group of people or even just him. And I think it's too early to do that. I think that, I mean, obviously we have the FBI, the CIA, the people whose job it is to figure out this information. And I think by taking something like that and blaming it on someone, I think it's a terrible thing for them. I think that we have to let them do their jobs first before we make predictions about that.
Okay.
But from the information coming out right now, I don't think it's crazy to say that he might not have acted alone. I think there is evidence from, I think it was about a day or two ago, they dropped some of the text messages that he
the
had,
Discord?
with his partner. And I read those, and they're horrifying. They're just awful. And he just did not seem remorseful at all, which is terrible. Which could potentially make me think that he didn't act alone, that he had someone with him, just because of the lack of remorse. And I think if you did it on your own, there might be remorse in it. Like, wow, like this is what I just did. But when someone is almost pouring into you, fueling that fire, you begin to become like emotionless almost. And so I think it's not crazy to say that, but I don't want to say that for sure because the investigation is still in early stages. They're still doing questioning. Haven't even had a trial yet. So I think that we just let them do their job, but try to stay out of speculation a little bit. Is kind of what I believe.
It's definitely premeditated murder, at least for him. And like you said, someone could be pouring into him. I think that it's completely fair to say that maybe they didn't directly, for example, or directly go after Charlie Kirk, like, let's get him killed. But I do think that a lot of left-wing media and just left-wing people, or the rhetoric that they use, kind of saying like, he's a Nazi, he's a fascist, he's a racist. Plenty of like people said, like the Washington Post has called him racist. Like people have all over been saying like they're getting fired for it because they're saying his hateful rhetoric. Do you think that really pushed at least Tyler Robinson to his eventual motives, like of why he ended up assassinating Charlie Kirk, was because of the rhetoric that people in the media used to defame Charlie Kirk?
I do think the media has a bigger effect on people than some people realize. I think it's really easy for the media to push, like they can decide on one thing that they want to believe in and then push it because of the role they have in society these days. And so I think that because you look at Tyler's parents. I mean, they're conservative. His dad, I believe, was a veteran, and so obviously something must have changed in his life as he got older. And so I think the media definitely plays a role in that because, just the impact they have on society nowadays and how prevalent they are. But the 24/7 news cycle, the constant barrage of, news media on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and then on TV, and then you can't escape it.
No.
And so in this day and age where social media is such a big thing, you get those news channels on there, and then you get content creators posting about it, and then it's just everywhere. Yeah. And then you fall down the algorithm, and then you're just getting almost brainwashed to a point. Yeah. And so I think the media can be a very dangerous thing when it comes to this type of thing.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I think personally, my opinion is I don't know, obviously the speculation, maybe it was an inside job of sorts. I don't know. But it was definitely like the hateful rhetoric that was used against right-wing politicians or just conservatives as a whole, because he's not even a politician. Mm-hmm. He's just a conservative activist. And towards President Trump, towards J.D. Vance, towards whoever's in the conservative right-wing department of politics, it's always this hateful rhetoric that really polarizes and separates us from each other. And I feel like that took Tyler Robinson down a dark path that he found himself in, and he just fed into it and fed into it and fed into it to eventually where he acted on his hate in a way that we should never. We got to get out of focusing on. We got to get away from using weapons. We got to start using words again. Mm-hmm. Charlie Kirk stood up for gun rights, and as do I, and I'm sure you do as well. Mm-hmm. But we should never use our guns to kill anybody for a political belief or a religious belief or just any belief as a whole. And I think that's just terrible. And that kind of leads me into like the second topic I kind of want to get in. It really connects the two. In spite of the loss of Charlie Kirk, the tragic loss of Charlie Kirk, how do you think of, or what do you think of the well-being of the United States of America? As in, I mean, economically, socially, morally, politically, like what do you see the landscape as right now?
Yeah, I think the country as a whole has never been more divided. I think that the current administration, President Trump, he's doing a good job in terms of the political side. But sometimes, I mean, I'm a Republican myself. I'm I vote that way. But sometimes I wonder if that he kind of brings in just a divide across the country. And so I think, yes, he's doing a great job, doing a phenomenal job on the policy side. I think inflation is down. I know inflation is down. I know that he's doing things overseas that I really like a lot. Foreign affairs is something that I'm really interested in. And so I like to follow all that. And I think he's doing a really good job overseas. I almost wonder if there's something that needs to be done to repair the duality of the political party system. Yeah. That just the hate that the two sides have for each other is something that I think, yes, people disagreed in the past, but in the last decade or two, I think it's gotten so much more severe. Yeah. And I'm just wondering, like, what do you think is like caused that? I know it's kind of a loaded question. What do you think?
Well, one of the big things I think caused that, social media exploding, was not good for politics. I mean, it was good in the way of exposing politics and political matters, but in the way of exposing the type of person, you can say anything on social media. I could defame anybody on social media. And Trump, while I may not agree with everything morally he stands for, maybe not agree with everything he says, I agree with a lot. And I don't think that the way that he's portrayed by the media reflects him personally, especially to the extent that he is portrayed by the media. And one of the big things that really I see the separation in is our political landscape. When we have debates now, when we see the presidential debates, whether it's the RNC, DNC, or just like Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump, Joe Biden versus Donald Trump, it's always just throwing insults at each other now. Instead of, when you go out back and watch Reagan's debates, it's about like, it was a quote from Reagan. It's like, we both want to see the country succeed. We just have different paths of going about it. And it's up for them, it's up for you to decide as the voters which side you want to choose. And I think we've really gotten away from that because we've gotten towards your political affiliation is your identity.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the big problem. You can't have, like, everyone's entitled to their opinion. I think everyone should have an opinion, a political opinion. But it can't become your identity. It can't become who you are to the point where you hate the person sitting across from you. Because at the end of the day, we are all American citizens. And at the end of the day, we all need to love each other as American citizens and love each other as Christ loved us. And I just can't get behind that. And that's, from my perspective, what I've seen throughout just any debate or any even in good faith debate. The tensions are always just so high just because of how much identity people find in their beliefs. Because politics have become less and less about what's the economy doing and more and more about morality. Like, for example, if you bring up topics about abortion or LGBTQ plus, that's a political debate, but it's a morality debate at the same time. And that really has just it's just torn relationships apart, honestly. And people are free to disagree, but they take it to the next level. Okay. And you said a lot about foreign affairs, and you said you really you love it. You're really interested in it. You even told me that, like, you'd be interested in, like, being an ambassador one day. Like, that'd be a cool thing to do, and I think that's awesome. What do you see? Obviously, there's been some Trump tariffs, trade wars, whatever you want to call it. What do you like? What do you not like about these tariffs and these trade wars that we're having with these other countries?
Yeah, I think I like it.
You like it? Okay.
So I think that it was time for the U.S. to bring a lot of its manufacturing back onshore, because over the past couple of decades, like, everything has been sent. You see the made in China, the made at Vietnam, like all of that going overseas. And I think the way America is right now, we have, like, the population is so large. We have such this is a whole other conversation itself, but immigration, such a big group of people coming in, like, we need jobs to support our economy. Yeah. Because it's naive to think that our economy can grow with the growing number of people coming in if we don't continue to put jobs in. And so I think it was almost like growing pains, right? It was for a year or so, maybe between 6 months and a year. It was a little tough. It was the economy, like, people were really critical of Trump and all of that. But I think now it was kind of like, yes, we got to go through this hard thing, but the end goal is better than where we are right now. And so people were, like, hypercritical of him for while those first couple of months were happening. But I think now, with the jobs that are being created in the country, and I mean, you can see the evidence of it. The economy is getting better. The economy is healing from where it was COVID and post-COVID. I think it was overall for the good of the nation.
Okay, I agree with a lot for the most part. Actually, there are a couple things there that, like, I've kind of just found some statistics on the economy and the growth throughout the first quarter of the United States. 2025, the whole economy and GDP has dropped by 0.3%, which is not ideal. Yeah, obviously it's not the end of the world, but it's not ideal. And there's still over 1 million Americans with long-term unemployment. Yeah. Obviously, we're working to get better at that. We're working to grow through that, but it hasn't seemed like it's made its effect on the homeland yet. Inflation is down. It's down to 3.1%, which is the target goal. Yeah. But it just doesn't seem the day-to-day life. You still see a lot of homeless people in America, whether it's the big city or wherever. You just see people without jobs and struggling. What do you see the Trump administration doing to help that? Or do you think they continue this path and it's going to continue to help?
Yeah, I think that we're not even 2 years into the administration yet. If you were going to bring jobs back over, you have to create manufacturing plants or factories or something. And that might not be possible in 6 or 8 months. Yeah. And so I think with those jobs coming over, I know South Carolina has a big plant going on down. I believe it's between Columbia and Charleston. There's going to bring a whole bunch of jobs in. And so I know Governor McMaster's done a great job of trying to bring big manufacturers into the state to provide jobs. And I think, I mean, other governors are doing the same thing, and President Trump is working on that. I don't know down the nitty gritty on how that's going to happen. But overall, I trust what he's done so far and what he did in his last administration. I trust the process.
Yeah.
I think what he's doing now will eventually lead to the GDP rising to the level that we all want it to be at.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I just know that for us as college students and the day and age, like 2 years, we got to find a job.
Yeah,
we got to get in the workforce. Mm-hmm. Like this is something that really matters. Just we want to get a job, we want to have a family, and we want to buy a home. And during the last administration, the Joe Biden and Kamala Harris administration, that didn't seem possible. Mm-hmm. For a lot of people, like homes were skyrocketed through the roof. Like the prices, inflation was high, eggs were impossible to buy, gas was $5 a gallon in some places. Like it just seemed impossible for someone who's a young adult coming out of college to try and find a job and make a living and provide for a family. It seemed impossible. And I mean, I really hope and trust that President Trump's plan is going to do better for us and for our country. Even though obviously there's growing pains, we haven't seen that yet. What I'm really trying to get at is obviously the economic side is so incredibly important. And because we need a good economy if we want to have a good culture, have a good life, honestly, just like have a good well-being. What do you see morally in this country? What do you see? Obviously, the political violence that is just occurred. That's every person with a sane mind will condemn that over and over and over again, no matter what you agree or believe. And everyone's going to disagree with that. What do you see morally the country that we're heading? Like, how do you see us like health-wise and just as a whole, like the personal well-being? How do you see Americans thriving in that?
I think that's a loaded question.
Yes.
I think that the whole COVID vaccine thing was a really big issue for a couple of years, honestly. I think I go back and forth on what I believe about it. I think that when you rush vaccines through that process, they may not be the most healthy. I think there was overreactions on both sides. I think it goes back to the like Republicans never wanting to agree with Democrats and Democrats never wanting to agree with Republicans. And I think as a country, we need to work across the aisle. We need compromise. We need compromise to come back into the country. And so I always respect when politicians try to do that. I think a lot of times they get ostracized, like, oh, this guy's talking to Democrats or this guy's talking to Republicans, like we're going to push him out.
It's like they're a rhino.
Yeah. No, absolutely not. Like the goal of the country is not to be taken over by Republicans or taken over by Democrats. Disagreements is what push us forward as a country. And so I think when we have, like Charlie Kirk was stood for, like those healthy discussions, I think that's when we get true change in the country. And so in terms of health and well-being, I think that there's a lot of improvement that needs to be made. I think the homeless population is really large, and that's something I really have a heart for. And I get to volunteer at a food pantry every week, and I get to talk to a lot of them like firsthand. And I see kind of the things that they're going through. And it's hard to see. And I think that it's not something that people tend to talk about all the time. And I think that it's something that both parties need to focus on more, and not just talk about, but actually do. I think there's a big problem in the country with politicians talking about something, but then not actually doing it, like empty promises. Like on the campaign trail, you tell somebody what they want to hear and then don't actually follow through. And so I think that's a really big thing that we need to stamp out, is holding these politicians accountable for what they're saying they're going to do, versus what they're actually doing once they get in office.
Yeah. And I really could not agree more. Politicians and lying seem like it goes hand in hand, like all the time. Thankfully, you said a lot about homeless people, like health and just all of that good stuff. Not really good stuff, but how do you, as a Republican, I feel like we get shamed a lot by Democrats, especially Christian Democrats, for you guys don't love the homeless, you guys don't love the poor, you guys just are wanting to help the rich. How do you navigate through that? Because obviously, we have the heart. We need to have a heart of Christ.
Yeah, for sure.
And we need to go after and really pursue the homeless and pursue them as an image bearer of God. How do you How do you live out that?
So I'm a big proponent of servant leadership.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the best way to be a leader is to serve, and to not be afraid. Like I like the whole mantra of I wouldn't ask you to do something if I wouldn't do it myself. And so I think humbling yourself, like as a leader, you might be in a position of authority, but you are not above the people you are leading in the eyes of Christ, right? You are made in the image of God just the same way that they are. And that's the same way with people who are less fortunate, people who are homeless. They're still made in the image of God. And God's got a plan for their life just the same He's got a plan for your life. And so the way that we serve them, and the way our conservative leadership, our politicians, I think that there's a whole lot of corruption. That's a whole other topic. But I think that, living it's a simple biblical truth of living the way Jesus did. Like, WWJD, what would Jesus do? I think that is an idea that needs to be put more into politics. That more people need to do what Jesus would do. Because I'm not trying to do something to benefit myself. Like when you are a politician, when you are in office, you are not trying to benefit yourself. You are serving the public. And so you have to look out for the interests of your constituents, not just your interests, which I think is a really big problem today.
Yeah.
That politicians are focused on what they can gain from things, rather than what their constituents can gain.
Yeah. Like I said, me and you see eye to eye on so many different topics. Like a little quick question before we get kind of to the next topic. Like how, in a short sentence, you could say, how would you, or what would your policy be towards the homeless people? Like, how would you help? Like, obviously, you want to be a leader and you want to go out and serve the community. Would you say that there's any policies that the government should enable for homeless people or less fortunate people? Or should it be more so on community-driven purposes like churches, charities, or, organizations that really go after and pursue the less fortunate? Or do you think the government should be a part of helping that?
I think, yes, the government should help.
Okay.
But I don't think the government should have a big role in our day-to-day lives.
Okay.
I'm a big proponent of smaller government. I think that when the government tries to overstep into our lives, I think just bad things happen in general sometimes. And so I think that people in positions of authority or people in the public view going and making a difference in the lives of other people. Because obviously, if you were a big politician with a big following or a celebrity with a big following, people watch you, people look up to you. And so you not being afraid, like, hey, I'm going to go work at a food pantry, or hey, I'm going to go help build houses, or I'm going to do something like that. I think that, yes, the government can help with that and should help with that, but it should not overstep into where it plays a huge role in our day-to-day lives. I think that you can be part of the government, but not the government being part of the lives, if that makes sense. Like, be in the government, but also on your own time, serving the public.
So, okay, yes, I see what you're saying. You don't want the government to overstep boundaries, and I totally agree with that. I do think that there needs to be a certain amount of programs, but the big thing that all of us conservatives talk about is like, nothing's free. The more government we have, the more taxes are going to be on the working middle class. It's usually not always like, it doesn't affect the billionaire as much.
Exactly.
Even though they get taxed a lot more money than me or you probably ever will, it's a drop in the bucket still for them.
Percentage-wise, yeah.
It's just, I agree. I don't want to see taxes get raised to the point where I can't buy a home for me and my family. As much as I want to pursue them, I feel like I could do that in a way that's giving to my church, giving to, I don't know, Miracle Hill, or, something like that, like the Red Cross organization. There's so many different ways that we can pursue people who are less fortunate. I just don't think that it needs to be always government housing, but us, the people, need to have our hearts changed to where we want to help them rather than forcing us to give out of our tax dollars.
Exactly.
And this kind of leads into my last question. How do you tie your politics, your policies, what you believe as a conservative into your faith? Like how do you align your views with what the Bible stands on?
Mm.
Like, how do you navigate and what do you see there?
Yeah, so I think there's obviously a huge correlation, and as a Christian, we can't pick and choose where we put our faith. It is our whole lives.
Yeah.
It is not like, yeah, I'm a Christian when I'm at church or when I'm with these people, but when I'm talking about politics or at work, like I'm not.
Yeah.
No, it encompasses my whole life, and so that includes the way I look at different policies and that kind of thing. I think obviously conservative, yes, but one way that we get it wrong as conservatives is the immigration issue. Obviously, yes, illegal immigration, it's illegal, it's in the name.
Yeah.
But I think that yes, these people are still made in the image of God, and so yes, deportation is fine, but we have to treat them in a way that does not dehumanize them, almost, because I think it's easy. Yeah, there was news a couple of years ago. This is, I mean, in the Biden administration, but it was still like, yeah, they're rounding up these people and they're splitting off families. They're putting the kids over here and the parents over here, and these people may never see each other again. And I think that's a terrible thing. As a Christian, family is such a vital role. I think that we need to treat these people not like they're subhuman, not like they're anything less, because yes, they're still made in the image of God, just the same as we are. Yes, they're breaking the law, but still we need to treat them with respect, treat them with empathy. And I think another thing is LGBTQ, that community. Obviously, I think as a Christian, I don't agree with it, but I don't dislike you, right?
Yeah.
You are still made in the image of God, and so I'm going to treat you that way. I may not agree with what you believe in, but I'm still going to treat you the same way, because Jesus talked to people that didn't agree with him at all. Jesus was killed by people that didn't agree with him. And so he still treated them with love, with respect. And so that's the same way that I think Christians should treat other people, and treat the whatever other party. Yeah. If you're a Democrat, treat Republicans the same way. If you're a Republican, treat Democrats the same way.
Yeah.
I think that is something that has kind of been lost over the last couple generations almost.
Yeah.
Is that love and respect. And that's something that really, I think that's part of why the partisan divide is so great right now.
There's so many, like, obviously, yes, Jesus called us to love, but there's also a side of truth. Love is not just, for me, love is two sides. It's book split in half. You have grace, which is overwhelming mercy, something that you don't deserve. And that's something that's freely given to us by our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. But then there's the full of truth side as well. How do you balance, like, the truth is in, sorry, this is wrong. I love you. And I want you to know that I love you, but this is wrong what you're doing, the way you're living your life, for example, if we're talking about LGBTQ. And the only reason why I'm telling this, not because I'm a bigot, not because I hate you or I'm judging you, it's because I love you and I want to see what's best for you. How do you do you think that Republicans as a whole or Democrats on the other side act this way? Or do you think that we need to get much better at it?
I think that society and people in society are very sensitive now, almost to where if I'm going to call you out on your sin in a loving way, it would be very hard for a lot of people to take that as a loving thing.
I mean, it hurts.
It hurts, but it should, like, when I say it to you in a loving way, like I genuinely want the best for you.
Yeah.
And so as a believer, like, if I say, hey, like, I'm calling you out of your lifestyle and the way you're living, like, I want the best for you. And it's not a hatred thing. I'm not mocking you. I'm saying, hey, like, this is what the Bible says. This is what Jesus said. This is how Jesus acted, right? He didn't, I think a big message of the LGBTQ movement is just love, right?
Yeah.
And then I've seen debates with people like that against, just debates like that, where, yeah, Jesus loves me. That's fine. Jesus loves me as I am. But no, Jesus loves you, but Jesus called out people on their sin. He called them out in a loving way. I think that's a big thing that us as a culture need to move towards, is that, yes, we love you, but we're not going to just accept exactly everything like that. we're gonna love you, but we're gonna call you out of your sin because we love you.
Yeah. I try to act the exact same way. I think affirmation is anything but love.
Mhm.
I think the way I think about it, especially as a Christian who knows the Word of God and who loves Jesus more than anything in his life,
Mhm.
if I have this analogy, if I see a blind person walking across the street and a bus is about to hit him, am I gonna be like, "Oh, you go, keep on going, keep on," pat him on the back, or am I gonna pull him away with everything I can?
Mhm.
I'm gonna pull them away. I don't
Exactly.
want them to get hit by the bus. And that bus, in the sense, is the devil and Satan
Mhm.
who's trying to take over their lives.
Yeah.
And that's the same way I see when people are living in a life of sin, whether it's any sin. Doesn't matter if it's like LGBTQ, homosexuality is not the only sin in the world. It could be lying, it could be lust, it could be, you name it.
Mhm.
It's the same way, the same boat for every single thing. And I think as people, I know a lot of people in my family and in my like culture as a Republican that don't love the way that they need to love,
Mhm.
and they don't
Yeah.
share that they become more legalistic on these topics.
Exactly.
And in the side of the Democrats or the left, it becomes more about grace and no truth, and they
Mhm.
get more like, yeah, it's okay, like you're fine, Jesus still loves you. He does, but you have to abide. It literally says in the Bible, if you love me, you will do my, as I say, you'll keep
Mhm.
my commandments.
Yep.
And I think there's so much truth to that. And we need to find the balance.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think you find that super, super well. And I mean, I'm so grateful that you came on the podcast today.
Yeah,
So we're
for
kind of
sure.
like wrapping it up. Like, this was just such an honor to
Mhm.
have you on the very first episode of the Paul
Yeah.
Cobin Show.
Thank
Like,
you for having me.
dude, like literally, I cannot tell you how thankful I am. It's been such a blessing to even be able to start this,
Yeah.
even though, I mean, maybe it's building this up from scratch. It's a lot of hard work, but I'm just so thankful that you've decided to be a part of it and just help out in any way you can. Really share your ideologies and your beliefs with me and with everyone that's going to be watching. Like, I just think that's so cool. And I know that you are so active politically and spiritually, and you're just like always, always in it.
Yeah, dude, I really appreciate you having me. I think you're gonna kill this, honestly. I think you got this show and you as a whole have a bright future. I think you got a lot of potential. I think you're gonna crush it. And I'm so excited. I'll be praying for you. I'm just so excited to watch you from the sidelines and just to have the opportunity today to have a little part in it. This was super fun. Get to have this discussion with you. Get to hang out with you. Yeah, just thank you.
Dude, heck yeah, man. I love hearing that. And to y'all watching, thank you guys so, so much for watching the very first episode of the Paul Cobin Show. I cannot thank you guys enough. The next episode will come out next Sunday. Y'all stay tuned in. Thank you guys so much for being a part of it. God bless y'all. Thank you.